What's up, gentlemen? Listen, I wanted to make a video on this fly rod I have. I know what you guys think about fly fishing. Don't tell me. We know what everybody thinks about fly fishing. The people who do it, they enjoy it. They're like having fun. And then there's the other people who use bait casters. I am so sorry about this chopped recording, and I'm very sorry in advance for the audio. Wait, let me wipe this lens. I hope that's a little bit better. The GoPro died. I'm having a lot of issues with this thing. Look, I'll get back into that right now. That's not the premise of the video. Just bear with me on the audio. I'm working on it. I want to make better content for you guys. So without further ado, here's this thing right here. So this is a tiny fly rod, which I built with my own little two hands. I don't know how, but I built it. Let me do a little bit of a breakdown on this thing and why I even built it. This thing is, I think, like 5 feet something. It's pretty dang short, pretty petite, and it is just wonderful. Now, the reason I built this, yes, you may have seen the title of the video. I tried a Tenkara rod out. And I did this when I first got into fly fishing. Now, I'm not a big fly fishing nerd. I haven't even caught a trout yet. And that's like the whole reason you do fly fishing, right? To go on the river, throw dry flies, and catch a trout. I haven't even caught on a rainbow or anything, man. So why did I even get into this? Well, I do a lot of urban fishing. A lot of fishing in ponds and ponds, pretty much. Little small lakes and ponds that we have here in LA, because that's where I live. I wanted to get into it, and I wanted a relatively simple way to go about that. I would watch a lot of videos on my Instagram feed, just pop up of people throwing whatever type of flies and catching flies. And the big thing for me was just being able to present something like this. Like, this thing is just tiny. And do it in a manner that is just so finesse that you could never replicate with, I don't care what BFS gear, what ultralight spinning gear you have. You're just not going to get that type of finesse out of those fishing techniques. Not a bash on them. They're still fun, and they also work. I'm not saying this is like the elitist method. And there's a lot of elitism when it comes to fly fishing, and I think that's just ridiculous, in my personal opinion. Having said that, I was looking for a way to fish ponds and local bodies of water with flies. So obviously, what do? I bought a Tenkara. I didn't want to be lunging around on a big old 9-foot rod or 8-foot, because these fly rods like typically are pretty tall. Makes sense for how you're using them. Again, when you're fishing in rivers and stuff like that, much more natural places. The issue came when I was just doing this. Dip my fly into the water with a Tenkara rod, and I'll just kind of finagle it. But there's no real way to get your fly further out if you want to. Again, it's one of the drawbacks about these Tenkaras. Some of them have these like telescopic things where it'll telescope to a certain amount, shut off there. If you need more length, you can telescope it out. But then if you think about it, your line size, or that line, you have to adjust it as well to make up for that. Because now if you, like, let's say you were fishing this length of line, and now your rod is this long, well, you kind of have to adjust that. At least I think you do. I don't know. Maybe you don't. I mean, I'm sure you could get by without doing it, but wouldn't you want to be able to do that? I guess you can retie and tie on a different line, but it's just not as simple as just having a reel like this one. And this thing is tiny. For reference, there's my big boy hand, and there's that freaking little fly reel. This thing is so tiny and petite. This being a shorter rod, dip the fly right there if the fish are close. If you need to get the further distance, what do? It's a fly rod. You take out more line, you do a couple back casts, a couple forward casts, back cast, forward cast, and your fly is over there, and it's presented in such a beautiful manner. I love it. So without yapping anymore, that's why I built this fly rod. Now, how did I build it, and what is it composed of? Let me tell you. What's up, guys? I just wanted to interrupt this video real quick. Wanted to let you know that if you're enjoying this thing and fishing videos and all types of videos, because I post weird stuff on here, I just wanted to let you know that I would appreciate it if you subscribed. You don't have to, though. So if you're enjoying it, just keep watching. But please let me know what you would like to see down below in the comments. All right, man, back to the video. Let's start off with the blank, because you need a stick if you're gonna make a fishing rod. This thing is short. For that reason, it's one piece, which I feel like is super rare to find in a fly rod. Is there even one piece? Is that even a thing? A one piece fly rod? I'm sure it is. But this thing is so short that it's just a one piece. I did want to make it collapsible. This is gonna be funny. So check this out. You see that right there? See that? This actually was a Tenkara rod prior to it being a freaking fly rod, which is just the funniest thing, I think, in my opinion. But yeah, I literally used that old Tenkara blank. And as for the Tenkara blank, it was like some knockoff, like cheap, just whatever blank that I got off of, like, I think it was like AliExpress or Temu or something like that. I actually removed some of the lower sections because obviously I've never seen a Tenkara rod this small, because this thing is just tiny. Like at that point, just use a stick, you know? I wanted it to be small so that I can kind of like scooch around in these tiny little city ponds and really be low key. Because I mean, at least I kind of want to be low key if I'm fly fishing. I don't want to, again, this is the whole reason I made it. I don't want to show up with a 9-foot, 8-foot rod. I get it. They have their purpose, but I don't want to show up with that thing at my local pond. Blank was made out of an old Tenkara rod. As for the reel seat, I had some old like rope type of material lying around, and I just freaking did some wraps around it. This little cheap old reel seat that I actually got on one of those cheapy Chinese Temu rods. I removed the reel seat off of it. Yeah, I took the reel seat off of that, and it was a spinning rod. So what I did, I basically, this would normally sit like this, but I flipped it so that the reel can sit more far back towards the rod, which is how fly rods are typically set up. Reel goes right here, it doesn't go right there. The reel, what's up with this guy? Because this is a very interesting and unique setup here. This reel right here is actually off of a Penn fly rod. A Penn fishing rod, but the fly rod version of that. I don't know if you guys ever watched like Monster Mike, but I stumbled across one of Monster Mike's videos. Monster Mike Fishing on YouTube, I think that's his channel. When he was fishing with a little collapsible rod, but he had a different version and had this reel on it. And I just knew. I was like, man, that looks cool. So I got one, and I actually used this with that Penn fly rod, which, I mean, it works. And I actually caught a couple bluegill on that thing. But I knew it's like, I can do better than this. I took that reel, though. I liked it. This thing is not for reeling or doing anything but holding line. That is all I use this for. And it's nice and shiny. It's not plasticky. It's actually decent build quality for a toy, because that's what this thing is. But again, it's a line holder. That's the reel. Now, as for the line, you might have noticed this actually isn't fly line. And I did have a really light fly line on this, but I used this instead. And my reasoning for this might make sense, or it might just be stupid. But this stuff is super light. So this line, I think, in my head, is for fighting marlins. You know the memes where like they're like, oh, nice bluegill setup. Yeah, I literally have like what is this, like 100-pound braid on my freaking like I'm using that as fly line, which is funny. I will not lie, I do get better casting distance out of the proper floating line that's nice and rubbery and stuff like that. But this just, I don't know. I feel like it's so much more slick. It's nice and soft, whereas the other one was way too spongy. Maybe because I got cheap line and, you know, dingus. That's my fault. But I don't know. For some reason, I just prefer this on this reel. Now, if I were doing a proper setup, yeah, I would use proper floating line and some rubbery, you know, like actual legit fly line, not this stuff. But this works for me, and I genuinely enjoy using it. And I don't know. It feels right. Even though this is so wrong. But maybe that's what makes it so great. And this might just be my dumb take here, but I don't know if you guys have noticed, on those Tenkara rods, they usually have a line that's very similar to this. So it would make sense that this would load up pretty dang decently on a rod blank that is meant to be a Tenkara rod. So we went over blank, reel, reel seat, line. I actually even gave it a name. It's a magfly. I don't know why I called it a magfly. I don't even know if we have magflies here. The word magfly just sounded cool to me, so I named it that. I hope there's not a rod that's called that within the fly fishing community, because it was not intentional. If I stole their name, this was my own thing. But if there is, I'm sorry. It was an accident. The only thing left is to get a couple guides on there. Normal little guide right here, and then you got these guys. Your fly guides. Oh, a little bit too big for this blank. Maybe they're not. I don't know. I found these on Amazon. I was like, screw it. I'll give them a go. I actually sadly messed up the tip. There was a proper like fly rod tip. Upon trying to install that tip onto this blank, I might have broken it, and that's my fault. But thankfully, I had another conventional tip from I think casting rod just lying around. So I just used that. Again, this is just for shits and giggles. It's not. This was never meant to be a proper setup. It's just something that's fun, and I guess unusual, but it's something I made, and it's so enjoyable to be able to catch fish on something that you made, whether it's like lures or a rod. I've never built a fishing reel before, so yeah, I don't know. I guess I would have to try to learn how to do like CNC work and stuff like that. But hey, man, for building rods and fishing baits, I think that's pretty sick. I need to learn how to tie flies, but that's if we dive fully into fly fishing. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. That is the micro fly rod, and yeah, man. So I just hooked up to one, and I cannot seem to get it on freaking camera, which is funny. These aren't huge fish now, but I mean they're there, so we're gonna mess around with them. I really was hoping there would be bigger sizes. Oh, there you go. There you go. We're still able to catch him on one hand, which is cool. So goodbye. Oh my gosh, he did a freaking backflip.